In this video, traders, we are going to look at building a new trading strategy. Stay tuned. Hey guys, warm welcome to you. Right, so how to build a new trading strategy. I'll talk for 5, 6, 7 minutes on this, give you a brief overview of really how I think about developing a new trading strategy. So building a new trading strategy. So the first thing that I like to do is, and by the way, guys, there's going to be people who say, no, I do it this way. That's fine. You know, this is just the way that I like to do it. And so far, it's served me very well. That's some wood, touch wood. I'm not superstitious anyway. But the point is everyone's different. And this is the way that I like to develop a strategy. And, you know, I got into a position where, you know, when I was first trading, I found a strategy and it was so effective and it was doing very well for me. I was like, wow, look, this is great. And, you know, I was making good money at it and it just stopped. And I had nothing else to go to. I hadn't even looked at another strategy. I hadn't looked at the market. And I was scrambling and eventually I kind of found something and it was just a process of, whoa, you know, all of a sudden you've gone from loads of money, this and this, to absolutely zero, and you've got to push it back up again. And later down the line, I go, right, well, it's always sensible to be looking at other strategies, have a suite of strategies. You might not have them all employed at once, and there might be one preferred for the current conditions, but if it changes, you can go, that's one for that. Okay, now we change conditions. I need to do this, you know, and you can use the different strategies to suit. So you want to get into a position where you've got an arsenal of strategies that you employ based on the current conditions, and you're never in a situation where you're relying on one. Now, of course, I understand when you're a new trader, and maybe that's a bit harsh on myself, but when you're a new trader, you're just trying to find a strategy that's working for you to make some money consistently. And you go, right, great. But the point is, don't leave it too long until you start to develop a new strategy, start to plant that seed to kind of think that's pretty effective. And maybe you trade in parallel, maybe this time. Anyway, let's get to it. Number one, what's your market? So what's your favorite market? The market you like to trade on markets, just watch them with the intention that you're looking for a new strategy. So being intentional about looking for a new trading strategy. There's a difference between watching the market for a trade and watching the market for a new strategy. You know, so you might be saying, okay, how does that respond? Very often after we've had these type of days, how does it respond? And a lot about conditions and what's the precursor for the trigger. In other words, what are the conditions? Is it a good run up? Is it an opening drive? Your day trading? Is it multiple up days of your swing trading? Is it faking out? Is it what happens before something you observe is happening? So you're thinking in themes. You're not talking just candlestick patterns or you know, that kind of stuff, or an indicator signaling. No. That's the final piece of the puzzle. Forget about that. You're looking at the broader conditions. Oh, after the market I like to trade has been had a heavy trend day, the next day I can quite often buy, if it's an uptrend day, I can quite often buy a second test of a low, a double bottom. Double bottoms work very, very well if they're in the upper third of the prior day's trend for a retest of highs. For example, that's the one off the top of my head that I know is effective. So what is it for you? And looking at the market intentionally to develop a new strategy as opposed to taking a trade. And you might have to do separately at separate times, but the point is just jotting stuff down. Because guys, there's nothing more powerful than you spotting something that's working, and then you implementing it. It's a great feeling. You have confidence in it. You have confidence to scale up on it. You know its vulnerabilities. You know this. You know that. It's something that you have spotted and you trade. So use proven strategies as a seed. So something I did talk about in there was how do we use other people's strategies and how do we sort of embed them into ours. So a brief, like we're kind of doing a summarized version of that is, hey, if you see other people's strategies, say, okay, it's a buying the pullback strategy, for example. How can I employ that with my own thing, with my own market, with my own conditions? So when do I want to buy a pullback? When do I want to pull the trigger? And you can start and use it as it's just a guide. So you imagine you're there in a massive open field. There's a guy there who says, hey, I've got a strategy for you that way. And you go, okay, thanks very much. That's all you do. You just start digging on buying pullbacks in that market rather than selling highs or doing this. You just say, okay, I'm going to align with that theme, but I'm still going to make it my own. I'm still a big fan, if you like, of doing it yourself and making it your own. Now this is the one that's probably people would go, "Oh, it's ridiculous," but I just like to eyeball to backtest. What can I say? Normally for me, I'll have spotted something and I'll have noted it down. I'm like, okay, it's happening again. And we might have the conditions where that happens again. Oh, it's happening. Oh, didn't happen this time. Okay, and I will be almost forward testing it as soon as I've spotted, if you like. Just in my mind, I'm spotting, I'm jotting down notes. A good thing to do is to then go back and just eyeball the chart. And we talked about ways of taking the pressure off you for that, but eyeballing it and saying, okay, well, it seems to be effective. And I know that some of you algo guys are going to be like, oh yeah, but you need to code it out and get a proper back test. And yeah, to some extent, some strategies can be back tested, but some can't. Just some can't. You can't, or someone may be well to do this, but you can't suddenly say, well, I would have drawn my support line there. If your strategy is to buy at support, well, that support is only drawn after you decide where it is. There's all sorts of other nuances, and I know someone's going to perhaps tell me otherwise, but the point is there's nothing better than eyeballing. Now, interestingly, you might be interested, a couple of weeks ago we have a trading strategy of the month, and I showed how I went through developing a strategy based on the VWAP, how I actually got someone to code the strategy up, back tested it, put the code up, and it's there. So, not that you just have to eyeball stuff. You can kind of use some automation, you can back test it, but the point is, I don't think that that's the best way to do it. In some circumstances, fine. If there's very specific rules that can be, and in this specific instance, maybe it was, but other times I just like to eyeball. I like to eyeball and go, hey, you know what? Let's see if it works. And then the real test is to say, okay, let's trade it small. Let's just trade the thing small. See how it goes. Small strategy, a small size, should I say, on the strategy, and see how it goes. And if you like it, you start to scale things up. And then the final point is to identify the hidden risk. There's times when you think you've got an effective strategy, but maybe it's more risky than you think. You say, okay, well, actually, I like to fade FMC kind of extensions, and I don't use a stop, and I come back. I use an extreme example, but the hidden risk in there is obviously because you've got no stop, and it could be a trending day. Maybe I like to trade this. There's often a hidden risk, and sometimes it's a case of it makes money, loses a lot of money, and does that make it a feasible strategy? Maybe, maybe not. So the summary of this is, guys, is that I think that to develop a new strategy, find it yourself, watch the market, see how it trades, and go in with the intention of finding a pattern, and initially go, I can't see anything. And it comes with time. When you go, okay, I've sat here and watched this market for so often, very often we kind of reverse around that time. Very often we extend this and and you start to build a framework and add blocks on and blocks on and blocks on and blocks on. And then even if you haven't got a final strategy that says pull the trigger when this happens, you still might have a broad theme. And the broad theme might be, hey, you know what? When the market opens weak, very often it closes weak. Or when the market opens weak after a 3-day run to the downside, very often we close strong. Whatever it may be, it might just be a theme, and then you can trade around that theme. Of course, if you've got an idea that's going to close strong, you want to get long towards the end of the day, etc., etc., etc. So develop your own strategy. It doesn't have to be perfect. Can be thinking themes. Look at the time, look at price, look at what's happened before the price did that, and start to really just watch your market, note stuff down, be intentional about it, use proven strategies as a seed if you're struggling with kind of finding your own thing. Eyeball it to back test. By all means, if you have specific rules that you can put into a back test, do that. One warning is that when you start putting in limits and stops and stuff into it, things can break when actually the theme is okay. It just needs a bit of price action nuance and a bit of discretion added to the broad theme. An idea would be, buying pullbacks and uptrend. We all know that's a profitable strategy over time, but the nuance is when you buy it. And so sometimes when you actually go, well, I'm buying at X points down this, it breaks. So think in terms of themes as well. Trade small to start off with. Demo, fine, but if you're more experienced, you've got to trade just small size, allocate a small amount of capital to it, and identify the hidden risk in it. Loads more content coming up on the channel, and appreciate your support and subscription. Take care, guys. Bye-bye.